Okay, it's been a little while since I've done one of these. I'm still kind of trying to get organized. This is sort of a little test. Um, Testing some different areas in the new space I'm living in, the location that I live on. My name is Alyssa. My pronouns are they, them, and I've been a yoga teacher for a long time, and that used to be my profession, right? What I did to make money in capitalism. But it never really felt like that was why I was doing it. That was just a necessary part of the conversation, unfortunately, in our world. But it was more like a vocation, a thing that I felt like I had particular skills for, or that was particularly important to me, or that it was of importance in the world. And I've struggled with that being true in the last couple of years. I've also watched the cycle kind of turn over again, and things that were kind of dying out or that didn't seem as important are trying to start themselves back up again. And I'm really questioning a lot about what has changed or what is being done that will make it different than last time, to allow people to avoid the same pitfalls. And I have the same questions for myself when I do this work. I'm here in my house, and my dogs are here. This is Albert, my wiener dog. Sometimes my other dog, Oakland, runs through. And so whenever I make these videos, I always kind of beg your forgiveness because I'm in real time and space, and you probably are in your own space as well. It has its own realities. And so we're coming at the thing from a similar perspective, right? It's a different way of practicing than going to a glamorous gym or a studio or even to a community dance space or anywhere that you might go and gather to practice yoga. And the video itself gives us the ability to be together across time, which is something that I like. Right? We could repeat the class. You could also decide to return to it, etc. Or you could do it at a totally different time than I recorded it. All right. So I've been thinking about that action of karma, what we do when we decide to do something differently or when we decide to take action. And a lot of the practice of yoga is sometimes returning to it, or doing it again, even when it's uncomfortable or when there's not quite enough time for it or quite enough space for it. So hopefully this will just be a little short thing, something that you have time with and for. All right. We can start in a seat. You can sit like this, cross-legged. If you do, you might sit up on something. If you have blocks, it's okay to sit on props. This is going to be a very low down class, so hopefully fit inside our camera work. I'm going to sit like this for a moment because it feels comfortable for me. But there's lots of ways. Please be kind with your knees. Remember, it doesn't have to be performative. You don't have to sit good, as it were. You can sit in a way that supports you. And close your eyes. Find a spot to gaze at, down or out in front of you. Let your hands rest somewhere of relative ease and stability so that you can let attention fall away from them. Let your spine find its own balance. It's curving, so you're not trying to flatten anything. In fact, your shoulders are kind of hang down. Your chin might hang down as the crown of your head goes up. There's a lot of positive oppositions. You might consider, or try, if you'd like, a little exercise. And this is not particularly about the gesture, but there is some context there. So if for any reason the gesture is not for you, you could always adapt it, press different parts together, as it were. But if you're comfortable folding your hands together, press your palms. And you can press them in front of you and point them up, point them down, point them out, however it feels good for you. And do be kind to yourself. It doesn't have to be super hard to be effective, but sometimes greater force is more felt. And so we have a bunch of different types of feeling senses that go on. And I've noticed recently that there's a lot of pressure in the world not to feel, but instead to produce. Often we sort of wheel past the process of experience on our way to achievement, right, or fulfillment of expectation or obligation, etc. And so if you're still pressing your hands together, maybe you feel stretch in the wrists or the palms, or compression in the backs of your hands, your wrists. Maybe across your fingers. Maybe it's not like that. There's no stretch at all. It's just gentle pressure. Notice if your neck or your shoulders are becoming involved. And it's always okay to wiggle like I do, or not to. And let yourself kind of stay still and relax more. Let go of any holding. But here at this point of center, where you press your hands together, how does it, my question is for you to ponder, that your hands know how hard to push? How does your right hand know how to push into your left hand just enough? How does your left hand know how to resist just enough? That they aren't, being pushed off center. How do they communicate? One of our functions of the inner ear is a crystalline squish sense. The idea that your body kind of knows when it's being pushed too far in one squish direction or the other. And you can feel the distance of range of motion, etc., with that sense. You also propriocepts, your balance in your inner ear. This felt sense in the body of pressure, of pushing, right, is something that comes up a lot in physical practice. Push, pull, drag, flick, press, right? These are all verbs, and they're coming up in the way that we interact with gravity, when the body interacts with itself, when you press one point of body into another, etc., so on. The way you interact with the ground and the sky. And so you press your two hands together and you consider this idea of samasthiti, of same standing. That your body knows how to balance itself without an aesthetic, without being managed towards the choir teacher's point of view, or the ballet teacher, or the parent, or even the eye of your mind about how you're supposed to stand properly. Maybe even the yoga teacher's point of view. Someone's told you there's a way. And you're always welcome. If there's something that makes sense for you or that you're working with, those are tools. Remember, it's just something you're putting on, right? You can put it on and take it off. We flow in and out of different extremes on our way back to neutral. Those don't have to be super extremes. Those are just physics extremes, right? The yo-yo bounces in two directions. We fluctuate. And a lot of the practice is based on that. So on your next inhale, flutter your eyes open. Your next exhale, let your arms hang down. Inhale, take your arms straight out to the side and up, palms down, thumbs forward, and exhale. Lower them down. Keep it simple to start. Inhale, take it out and up. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, take it out and all the way up overhead. Exhale, bend your elbows and maybe catch your hands. Inhale, take your arms up and out. Exhale to lower them down. Now aiming just maybe an inch further back than you did last time. Inhale, take them out and up. Exhale, bend your elbows, maybe opposite hand on top. I don't remember. On the exhale. Inhale, take your arms up. And out, and exhale. Lower them down. And inhale, take your arms to parallel. Exhale, flip both palms up, turn your biceps up from your shoulders, bend your elbows a little bit. And then turn your right palm out as far as you can and bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. And release, switch, flex your left wrist, hang your right ear towards your right shoulder. Switch. Flex your right wrist, hang your left ear towards your left shoulder. Switch. And you can turn your hands opposite. A little wrist stretch and a good way to kind of organize. Go towards the fingers that are turning up with your head. And then switch it. Turn your hand but keep your head. And change the action. So turn towards the hand going down with your ear. You can do this with relatively straight arms. You're also welcome to bend your elbows. Notice if you're holding your shoulder blades up towards your ears with your sternocleidomastoid. And you can inhale and exhale to switch. Or you can stay for the exhale. Move for the inhale. Next exhale, let your arms come down. Let your hands rest Your legs are on the ground. You can turn your hands up or hands down. And slowly crawl forward to a hands and knees position. I guess I'll turn this way because Albert's with me here. All right, we'll do some cow-cat breathing. Inhale, drop your belly ribs, lift your chin and tail. Cow pose, exhale to cat, tuck your chin around your spine. Follow your breath, inhale, lift your chin and tail. Exhale, tuck and round. And one more time, follow your breath. And do some hip and shoulder work in this lower perspective. And so place weight down into your right hand, your right knee. Inhale your left leg long and back behind you. And take a moment. Right, often what we do actually is lean over to the right and lift the left hip up. This is okay. You're just twisting in your lower back in such a way that you're turning which muscles work in what way a little bit around. And so without over dropping your hip, see if you can have two hips balanced from right to left, as if you had two knees on the ground. Dynamically press down, that same idea of pressing with your hands, the top of your right shin and foot, and breathe in and out through your nose. You might notice axial extension, the crown of your head moving away from your tail and your heel. Take an inhale. Exhale, draw your knee into your chest. You might tuck your chin and round your spine. Inhale to reach it long. Think of being parallel as opposed to backward bend. Exhale, tuck round in. One more time, follow your breath. And inhale, reach your leg long and back. Exhale, put the ball of your foot down on the ground, curl your toes under, and bounce a little front to back. Stretch your ankle, the arch of your foot. All right, we're going to do a similar action to take the leg out to the side, back and forth. It doesn't have to be super extreme, and you can guide with your hands, arms. Take an inhale, kick your heel back. Exhale as you shift forward, weight more in your hands. Take your left foot out to the left and down, bend your knee. Inhale, lean out to the left. Like you're lunging, and exhale. Reach your leg back, put your foot down. Inhale, kick your heel back. Exhale, take your left leg out. Lunge. Inhale, take your leg back and long. Press the ball of your foot down, kick your heel back. Exhale, step. Inhale to take it back. And exhale, place your left knee and shin down. I have this extra prop, this dog here. You don't have to rest your foot on anything. I just making space for him because he's such a good dog. Press into your hands and inhale. Take your right leg back. Oh, you got the memo. And long behind you. And shifting just a little bit. Thanks, bud. There we go. Then exhale, curl your knee to your nose, your chin to your chest, round your spine. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, curl in. One more time, follow your breath. Inhale to reach back. Stay for a moment. Again, you might organize your hips. I realize I need to shift a little now that my dog has moved. As you're ready, place the ball of your right foot down and begin to shift front to back. All right, inhale, send your heel back. Exhale, step your right foot forward. It doesn't have to go super far. Bend into your right knee and kind of lunge in that direction a little bit. Inhale, reach your foot back, put the ball of it down, kick your heel back, right foot. Exhale, sweep it out to the right, place it down. Bend your knee and lunge into it. Inhale, shift it back. Exhale, step it out. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale to place your knee down. Walk your knees forward and shift your hips back. Sit your hips on your heels if it's reasonable. If it's not, it might not be for you. Always feel free to change it. Fold your wrists back, backs of your hands on the ground. And it might just be your fingers or your knuckles. If that's true, you might press a little, create some rigidity. And you can also walk your hands closer to you so you can kind of lean over your wrists more. Right, if you have a little space in your wrists to go forward, you can take them that way. You can experiment with coming up and over with load bearing, but go easy and slow, especially if you're very dexterous in the work that you do, or you spend a lot of time with your hands. And we all tend to feel a lot in our hands, and that's a good trick of your nervous system. That's why people often put temperature sensitive things on the backs of their forearms, etc., because your hands sense things quite differently. All right, flip the palms of your hands down. Shift and weight forward, curl your toes under, and settle your hips as far back towards your heels as feels good for you. I'll go move in a second and you'll see. I have socks on, but you might not. Right, sometimes this can feel quite extreme, so try not to push it too hard to the point of stress or tension. Different bodies will have different ranges of motion. You might sit upright. Again, as we said at the beginning, you might consider your spine, that buoyancy of samasthiti. How do you balance from one side to the other? Gravity is creating force on the mass of your body, and so there's always this acceleration of gravity happening to us. And we're balancing against it with our inner ear, with a multi-millennia of adaptation, as well as to the barometric pressure of the gases, the oxygen around us with our breath. Move forward to tabletop. Flatten the tops of your feet down. You might do the counter stretch, reach back. Inhale to circle your arms up. Reach up and move your reach back. Exhale, bend your elbows like cactus arms, saguaro style. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale to come forward and down, tabletop. Inhale to take your left arm out and then up. Exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind your right wrist and under your shoulder, ear, or jaw. And as you do, breathe. And consider that you're twisting your spine a bit. See my iron now, but probably more of me. Real life, you know? All right, inhale, take your left arm back out and then up. And exhale to make a few circles like backstrokes and your arm back. Inhale to reach your arm forward and up. Exhale to turn it back. And as you go, take one more inhale. Exhale, turn it back, bend your knee. Now to get this grip, I have to go around to the outside, walk my hand around. I have pretty long arms, so you may or may not get a grip. If you are wearing baggy pants, you might grab for your pant leg. You might also just bend your knee and reach back and not have a grip. See if you can sustain where you are. You're welcome to hang your head, drop it away from your shoulder. I like to move mine around a little. Ask it to relax. Then release your foot, inhale your left arm up. Exhale to plant it underneath your left shoulder and inhale your right arm out and then up. Exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind your left wrist. Go down to your shoulder, ear, or jaw and breathe there. There's a lot of varieties, right? Sometimes if you're a little more front facing towards the earth, you can compress your deltoid. Compression is quite good for the body in many ways. And often it's over compression or compression over time, impact based through life that we hear about being negative, trying to alleviate it. But for any extension to happen, pretty much compression also does. Even when we axially extend in two directions in our spine, compressing into the earth below us and the sky above. Press into your left hand and inhale your right arm out and then up. Exhale, take a few of those back strokes on the side. Circling your right arm out, back, and down. Inhale to reach it forward and up. Exhale to turn it. Inhale to reach it up. Exhale to bend into your right knee and reach for your foot. I'm grabbing the inside, but you might grab the outside and hang your head away. Exhale to release your right hand under your right shoulder. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, shift your hips towards your heels. Child's pose. Your knees can be together wide. Some people like to stack their feet and take your arms out long. Fold your hands or forearms underneath your forehead. Or fold your arms or hands underneath your forehead. Inhale. Take your arms out, pull with your hands to draw your heart forward. We're going to slope towards cobra, so be very kind with your lower back. This feels pretty good for me with my body wide. You might squeeze your glute muscles, tuck your tail a little bit, and drop your hips. Go gentle. Right? This is a kind of passive form, cobra or upward dog. Press into the tops of your knees and feet. Squeeze your glutes, draw your navel in and back. Inhale. Exhale, start to send your hips towards your heels, round your spine, towards child's pose. Now, my suggestion is if it's tender, not to flow too fast. Maybe it's a 5-breath transition, maybe it's 3 breaths, maybe it's 1. And I'll cue back and forth a few times to try to listen to that cueing your own internal way. Inhale to pull forward. Use the exhale to sink your hips and lift your heart. Inhale, begin to lift your hips up and back. Flare your tail. Exhale, round your spine, child's pose, asana. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, drop your hips. Inhale, lift your tail. Exhale, sink your hips. For what it's worth, if your knees are bony, sometimes this is a lot. Feel free to pad your knees with a couple extra mats or towels, etc. Do it one more time with your own breath pattern. Inhale to come forward, curl your toes under. Exhale to downward dog, lift your hips up and back. Walk out your dog, stretch your Achilles tendons and calves. Shift right to left, turn your pelvis. Come high onto both balls of both feet, high on your tippy toes, lift your heels, bend your knees, inhale. Exhale, keep your knees bent, shift your shoulders forward over your wrists, let your knees lower towards the earth, inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, shift forward, shoulders over your wrists. Knees will hover towards the ground. Exhale, shift back. Down dog. Inhale to your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, shift forward, draw your navel up and back. Exhale, down dog. Take an inhale. Exhale, step your left foot forward and out like you did in the tabletop. Inhale to lunge in that direction. Exhale to shift back. You can do this up on fingertips or blocks. Inhale, shift forward. And exhale, shift back. Now notice if you're sort of using your hands to bear all the weight and try to press with your feet into the ground. Pushing to shift one side to the other. Take an inhale. Step back on the exhale, downward dog. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the earth. Lower all the way down. Inhale to cobra pose when you're ready. Exhale towards child's pose on your way, the downward facing dog. Take a big free inhale. Exhale, step your right foot forward and out. Inhale to shift forward and exhale to shift back. Follow your breath. Back and forth through the actions. You can always be high on the ball of your back foot. Especially if you're quite flexible, you might create structure, intentional tension in small amounts. Not tension as in stress. The way that a wire pulls tension for leverage. An equal and balanced option. Exhale to downward facing dog pose. Inhale to shift forward. Exhale, knees to the mat. Lift your tail up, lower your chest to the mat, perhaps your chin to the mat. Inhale to slide forward, cobra pose, or perhaps upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, back to down dog, maybe by way of child's pose. And walk your feet up to your hands. Bend your knees. Hang your head. Hang your arms. Bend your right knee and twist to the left. You might have your right hand down. You might bend your both knees. Inhale your left arm up. Exhale to switch. Bend your left hand down. Inhale your right arm up. Gaze up or let your head hang. And then exhale, release. Inhale to the left. Exhale to fold. Inhale to the right. Exhale to fold. And one more time on each side with your own breath. And take an inhale. Exhale, bend your knees and let yourself squat. Your heels might lift. You can always widen your knees out. Squatting isn't for you. You can continue in the pattern that we were doing earlier. Otherwise, we'll twist down here. You can be inside or outside your knee with your shoulder, whatever feels best. Inhaling and exhaling. Take as much or as little weight in your hands as you need to. All right, we're going to go back and forth between the two, perhaps. So it'll be a little bit like this. Right hand down, straighten your legs. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, squat. Inhale, twist to the right. Exhale your right hand down. Inhale, lift your hips up, twist to the left. Exhale to squat. Both arms down. Inhale, twist to the right. Exhale. Right hand down. Inhale, hips up, twist to the left. Exhale, squat. It's always okay. Inhale, twist to the right. Do this with your hands up on a chair. Don't squat as low. Or on a counter, do it just a couple inches. We're going to switch. Your right arm up. Inhale, lift your hips up, twist to the right. Exhale, squat, both hands down. Inhale, twist to the left. Exhale, both hands down. Inhale, hips up, twist to the right. Exhale. Hips down, hands down. Inhale, twist to the left. Exhale, both hands down. Inhale, lift your hips, twist to the right. Take your right arm up, perhaps. Exhale. Squat down, both hands down. Inhale, twist to the left. Let's do it one more time like this. Exhale, two hands down. Inhale, lift your hips, twist to the right. Exhale to squat. Both hands down. Inhale, twist to the left arm up. Exhale, two hands down. Maybe heels down, maybe not. You might be able to wrap your arms around your legs. It might be a big balance project. On your exhale, set your hips down. Turn back. Orientation that makes a bit more sense. And take your legs in front of you and up. Now asana, boat pose. Maybe you can wrap your arms around your legs here and kind of hang out. See if you can kind of shift a little forward and back. You're in a rocking chair. Figure out where the diameter of the circle of axis is for you. Right? So like how far it is you can rock from side to side, if that makes any sense for some of you. Think in that way. And if it feels very balanced, you might experiment with releasing an arm out to the side and kicking a leg forward and up. Then you might switch it out. Take your left arm out and your left leg up. And hold it in. Maybe you can take both arms out to the side and balance, and both legs out long in front. Drop your shoulders down. You might turn your palms up and breathe. Exhale to release. Take your legs out long in front. Let's do a seated forward fold. You might reach for your feet. Inhale and roll. Exhale to fold down. It's totally chill to have your knees bent, especially if you want to grip something to pull and you can't quite reach your feet with your legs straight. Remember that this is about the fold at the crease of our hips more so than it's about the straightening of your legs, but just create some resistance against that. And when we resist something, often there's other muscles and forces that start to enact or that are called towards to come forth to balance. Really, that's what we're doing most of the time. Paying attention to this balance, pushing the right palm into the left, as it were, and vice versa. Release any grip and round up. Try to drag your head. Good. You can bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet to the ground. Use your hands behind you to shift up onto your feet. I walk my hands around one at a time into squatting. Lift your hips up, hanging forward, fold once more. This time you might interweave your fingers behind you. Let your wrists fall forward and down. Return to this action a couple more times. It's always okay to hold a strap or a sock between your hands. Or put the hands in the small of the back. You're putting them into pants pockets. That's a way to start to rotate your shoulder in this direction. Slowly release your wrist to your tail. Let your hands separate and slide down your legs on the exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Bend your knees if you'd like. Unroll your heart. Exhale to step your left foot back into a long low lunge. All 10 toes face forward. Come high on the ball of your back foot. Reach your left arm forward. Now my right body is kind of resting on my right leg. You might adjust to lift up. You could bring your right hand to your right knee or take your right arm out long like your left. Roll your shoulders down your back. You might turn your biceps up and bend your elbows. Take 3 deep breaths. Plug your right heel down. Exhale, release your left hand down. Inhale, circle your right arm back and up to twist. If you'd like, you can roll to the outside blade of your left foot. Turn your right foot out. You're going to go all the way to Skandasana. Inhale. Exhale your right hand down inside your right foot. Turn back to the ball of your left foot and then to the inside blade. So all the way around. You come all the way over and squat to the left. Now this might be quite up high for you. It's okay not to go super low. Also tuck a chair, stool under your hips and have full support. You're trying to lay the back of your right leg down on the ground. You might be a look ma, no hands kind of person. You feel like you can reach your arms out. You might need full support of one or other hand to feel at ease. Remember what the practice is about, how we're paying attention. Balance is not of extremes, it's just in perspective of them. Take an inhale. Exhale to shift forward towards your right foot. Turn to face into a low lunge. Look forward. Exhale to drop your left knee down. Climb up onto your right knee thigh. As you settle your hips forward, you might have to scoot your right foot out or forward more or less. You're going to get to the point where you might interweave your fingers behind you and send your knuckles down. And in this case, you might lift your heart up and backward bend. Make sure you feel settled in your gaze, settled in your right heel. And exhale to release your left hand down, your right arm up, twist to the right. This time you might bend your left knee and reach for your foot. Release 2 hands down inside your right foot. Lift your left knee. We're going to walk into a wide-footed fold with our hands. So turn your feet and walk your hands towards your back foot to turn folding. And you can interweave your fingers and hang. Let your arms turn up. You might press into the ground in that classical A variation. Breathe. Inhale and roll like a halfway lift, and exhale, go to your left foot. Turn to face the back of your mat or space. Inhale, gaze forward, and exhale, step forward. Your right foot to meet your left, and hang and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to squat down, sit all the way down. Inhale, boat pose. Now it doesn't have to be boat pose, and here in a moment we'll do some plank posing. Right, but you can give yourself the opportunity to do something that stabilizes the center of your body. Right, this is what core work is really about. I'm going to offer a little bit of hip work. So if you take your knees wide, I'll turn to face you a little bit. Right, as sort of like an ottery or clammy shape. Right, seal shape might work for you in your mind as well. And we're going to take the hands through in the center like a beak. Press your palms, press your feet. You might press your heels if that feels better. Take an inhale. Exhale, draw your heels in. Inhale, lean back, press your legs forward. You might even straighten your legs and bring your feet together. Exhale, widen your legs, sit up, press forward. It doesn't have to be very big to be effective. And start on the ground and stay low, or start up and don't go so low. Inhale. And exhale. Maybe do 3 more. Nothing extreme. All right, cross your ankles. Roll forward, plant your hands and step back. Plank pose. You can do it on your hands or on your forearms. You can do it on your toes or on your knees. Try to make sure you're set up in such a way that you're not asking your neck to support you. That you can wrap your shoulder blades down the back sides of your ribs and around the side ribs. Draw your navel in and up. Breathe in and out through your nose. About 5 breaths. When you're ready, inhale to shift forward. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, lower halfway or all the way. Inhale to upward dog. Your hips lifted, press the tops of your feet down, or choose Cobra with your hips on the earth. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Eye the gateway between your hands, and exhale to slide or cross your ankles to a seat. Take your legs out, inhale, and you can try rocking like this. Exhale to rock back. You might build momentum from rocking and rolling a few times. Then go forward and up into that squatting position. Be careful with yourself. Use your hands where you need it. Inhale to lift your hips. And exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to step your right foot back. You can stay high on the ball of your foot or spin your heel down. You're welcome to experiment with what makes sense for you. I believe we worked the ball of the foot last time. You can always widen your left foot out to the left. Inhale your right arm By your right ear, flip your palm up, thumb up. And you might take your left hand to your left knee. Your body might be higher than you think. Draw your navel back. Drop your shoulders down. Maybe left arm reaches out. Plug into your left heel and take 3 good breaths. Exhale your right hand down and inhale your left arm up, twisting. All the way to Skandasana, take an inhale. Exhale, 2 hands down inside your left foot. Walk it over towards your right foot. Squat down. Extend your left leg out. You might do what you did on the opposite side. Things might be different here. Good inhale. Now lift your hips up and begin to walk it forward once more. Exhale. Drop your back knee. You can keep your toes curled. You can pad your knee if you need to. Walk your hands up onto your left knee thigh. And stabilize by settling your hips down, but also by feeling out where you need to place your legs. Often we have a tendency for the back foot to kind of curl in like this. You might turn it out intentionally. It might feel a little odd at first. If you have the space to enter your fingers and send your knuckles down, do. And exhale your right hand down. Twist to the left, inhale your left arm up. You might take your left foot out to the left or reach around behind you to grab for your right foot. Exhale, release your left hand inside your left foot. Curl your right toes and walk your way into the wide-footed fold in the middle of your mat. Inhale to unroll. And exhale to hang. You might interweave your fingers behind you and let your wrists fall forward and down. And release your hands. Inhale, halfway lift style. Exhale, walk your way over to your right foot. Inhale, step back, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga if you like. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Lay the gateway between your hands. Exhale your way to a seat. Bring the soles of your feet together and your knees wide for Baddha Konasana. And turn to face you. You can scooch forward. If you feel a lot of pressure here, if your knees are way up into your armpits, you might consider walking your heels further forward, having a broader diamond. Inhale to unroll your heart and exhale to fold over your legs and your head. You're welcome to round actively or passively, to extend actively. Slowly round your way up. We're going to turn to the right and to the left and do a little bit more hip rotation before ending out here. You can turn to the right, roll into the sole of your left foot, and turn to the inside edge of your left leg. And you might stay here in this stag shape, this sort of double angle axis, like a half snowflake. You might come forward and down. If you find you have the space to, you could walk your left leg more back and then turn all the way up and over into a pigeon shape. And then again, always be kind with your knee and lift up onto a prop with your hips. Takes the pressure off your knee at the angle that you're at. Really, it's okay to bring your heel to your hip. The more bent your knee is, usually the more your tib-fib can roll over each other. And the more your knee is able to sort of access its range of motion. Know that there's a lot of compression involved, and so you don't need to push. Your body tends to respond to being pushed by pushing back, right? Just like hand to hand, heart to heart. That which is held relaxes. That which is pushed tenses. As you're ready, press your way up, and you're just going to go back the way you came. In the center, you can always do a little loosening by dropping your hips from side to side. Sometimes these wide transitions can feel like a lot. Sometimes we just kind of feel, I call it feeling gamey, like when your joints kind of feel like you're pushing them around a little. It depends on the age you are and sort of how much tenderness exists for you. You might do the same thing from side to side. You might do something totally different. Take the time to be as you are. And you could return to considering how much support it is you need to feel, to be open to feeling, intuition. Much which is felt is often kind of underplayed or thought of as unimportant. Often there's a lot of intelligence and information involved in feeling. Spend a lot of time trying to put them away or avoid them. We often get stuck with them, as it were, and we miss out on the wisdom we might have. But it can be difficult to feel, to be vulnerable, especially in certain settings or communities. So if you find yourself in need of feeling, remember that there's only humanity in that, one of our special skills. Why would we adapt to feeling if there weren't some advantageous nature to it? Compassion keeps us all alive. Press yourself up. Take your time. Rotate back the way you came. And take your legs out long in front, roll them right and left. You might interweave your fingers and press through your hands a couple of times. Rotate your wrists around the axis like a figure eight. I'm going to suggest we set up for integration today in seated meditation. If that's not for you, always feel free to do something else. If you're blessed with a prop, sit up on something. I'm not right now. I'm actually going to change my stance a little bit because of that. Give yourself space to sit in a way that's sustainable, right? If you feel like you have to sit like this, it may not be super sustainable. It might seem comfortable at first, but over time, those things usually reveal themselves. A little sunbeam went at me, which is sort of nice. Whenever you've found your seat, you might consider, first of all, should you be sitting? You go lean against a wall if it's more sustainable, and nobody around to tell you you're not doing it right. Lay on your back, be on your side, or in another yoga posture. Physical affect of any kind. I'm going to suggest you close your eyes, but you could always keep them open. Pick a spot to gaze at. Let go of any control you have over your breath. Give it over to your body's natural, involuntary breath. Relax your shoulders. You might imagine at the back of the crown of your head, a gentle string of energy is pulling you up. And equally, there's a groundedness, a downward pressure through your sitting bones, those two bony prominences at the base of your pelvis. Emerging from those spaces is the tree trunk of your spine, curving low and wide, up to narrow and small, right? Swooping forward towards your navel and back behind your heart. Forward again to the back of your throat and back behind your eyes. Your jaw can hang off of your skull and your tongue can hang off of your brain. I'll offer that you practice a little bit of metta heart-inspired business, which is just that compassion is the thing and that it isn't easy. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it, right? And so as you practice being compassionate, remember that you must be compassionate with yourself. You have to give yourself space to be good or to not be good, to succeed or to fail, right? To be in process, to pay attention to the experience from a perspective that we're all going to die. And that's maybe the more important truth of everything else. All of the things that we get caught up in are just things that are trying to karmically convince us that we are these bodies and we are these experiences in the natural world or universe, as opposed to a spark of awareness that pays attention to those things. And in yoga, I'm trying to think about who is watching and listening, who is witnessing this experience, right? And who is that neutral witness, and how can we identify with that which witnesses without reacting or becoming attached? How can we take action to be truly aware of those attachments in this lifetime that fool us into thinking their authentic self, that fool us into thinking their truth, that create blindness for us, that keep us in a state of discompassion with our fellow humans, with our fellow planet, with our fellow molecules and substances and things that are made of the same stuff everywhere as us. And that is what we're doing. It can feel like a small deal, it can be a big deal, right, one way or the other. Courage it takes to practice isn't, right, any small thing. And if you find yourself frustrated, feeling unworthy, or caught up in an emotion, remember that you can pay attention to what there is to be offered to you by that experience. What do you learn from your sadness? What do you learn from your joy? What do you learn from the sadness and joy of those around you, etc., so on, without identifying yourself as that feeling, knowing that you can be a coat dyed any color and go back to, right, a pure essence of colorlessness again. I'll stop talking and give you space to pay attention to your breath. When the time comes to return to action in a few minutes, I'll call you up and out. Until then, you might pay attention to your heart beating in your chest, or your breath moving in and out. Pay attention to how things really are. Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, saha viryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu, mavit vashavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we together, as we learn, be protected. May we together know ease and joy. May our work together be brilliant and illuminated. May the work we do seek to contribute to the happiness and liberation of all beings everywhere inside of the context of universality, non-dualism, and peace. If you're lying in rest or seated in meditation and wish to remain as such, please do for as long as you'd like. When you emerge, take it slow, truly slow, like many breaths slow, like slower than you want to go slow. Like maybe start just by listening to your breath as it naturally is, rising and falling in your body. Feel for it against gravity. Ask it to rise only slightly, enough to give you enough invigoration just to very gently move the muscles of your face or run your tongue over your mouth surfaces. Wiggle your fingers or toes. Nod your head no or yes very slowly. You might stretch out or up like you're rising from sleep. And draw your legs or arms both into your chest to give yourself a hug. If you're on your back, you might roll to one side for a while. Rest your head on the earth, let your neck be soft before coming up to sit. And during this time, I often ask that you consider perspective, all of the continuing circumstances, the given circumstances involved in your ability to do a metaphysical practice like this, focused on compassion. You might consider the obstacles and oppressions and the privileges and gifts. When you consider broad spectrum, you might go all the way back to the Big Bang. The universe has to be here for you to exist and do this practice. Right? That the lineage of your ancestry has to come down through time. That the indigenous peoples have to sovereign the land. The teachers have to teach you. The resources have to come into your hands by their various means. And that all of this is in place, right, and could not be. But mostly take the time to practice witnessing your own courage to show up and do a practice of paying attention to how things are, a practice of kindness, which, like I said, if it were easy, everyone would do it. And everyone doesn't. Everyone likes to think about it, though, right? So maybe we'll get there one day. If you'd like, you can consider your practice by holding your hands in that Anjali Mudra again, or holding in the eye of your mind that feeling or meaning, that gesture of non-dualism, the idea that things that seem disparate or opposite have a meeting place in the field of everything where they are one. Thank you for your time and energy. You might bring your thumbs to your third eye and bow to yourself. Seal in. Acknowledge the lineage of the practice from southern India. Again, my name is Alyssa, and these practices, these videos are meant for community use, right? Obviously, my production level is not super high. I do my best, but they're just here for you to utilize, right? To listen to move. I'm not about creating a perfect choreography or doing anything perfect. Really, the hope is that you'll practice kindness for yourself and that you have this to press play on the days when maybe it's hard to get yourself to do it for some reason or another, or you just need a friendly voice who's going to tell you that however you're doing it is fine. Remember, you could always stop the video, you could turn them off. There's a back catalog of many, some of which I've done myself, and I've found a few of the left side just disappeared on this one, right? So know that I know about that too. And I'm sure that you just do the left side because you're a practitioner and you care for yourself, and you probably notice it and do what's best for you. And that's the hope, is that you also have a little bit of sovereignty inside of this, that it doesn't have to be about checking the boxes or doing it the right way or in some methodology, but in fact, letting yourself explore, letting there be a little bit of time and slowness, letting efficiency emerge organically as opposed to being dictated from an external source, etc., so on. The proceeds, 50% of the proceeds for these classes are still being donated to the Marsha B. Johnson Institute, which supports queer, Black, and trans folks. Right? There's a couple of different ways to look up information, and they support some local organizations in the state that I live in. If you ever have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Right? All the information for donation is always listed in these postings. And there's a website listed which has more information as well. Right? Otherwise, whatever season, weather, time you're in, I hope that the sun shines on your face, or that you feel the wind across your cheeks, or that the rain brushes against your eyelashes, and that you know that you're a part of everything and know that you're alive, and that maybe we get to see each other again one day soon. Thank you.